Night Owl season 11 is underway. Round number 3 at Watkins, Glen. It's been a absolute slog to get us to the grid, but we're here. We're sorry for being late. We had some huge audio technical issues. Ted Edwards tripped on his way into the box, and we didn't know which plugs went into which holes. But we're live with you tonight. It's Night Owl, baby, and it's dark here in upstate New York. Watkins, Glen, one of the newest tracks in ACC. Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards and Ryan Mawson with you tonight. Ted Edwards, welcome in. Welcome to New York. Welcome to my country.
Thank you. It's a lovely place to be. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now, but yeah, it's night owl time.
It certainly is, and you're here at the right time of year. Autumn in New England and the upstate New York area, always a beautiful time as well. We're combating a bit of the autumn elements ourselves here. Practice was dry, qualifying was in the wet to damp, and that has changed the complexion of the start of this race entirely. The start of the race, though, does appear like it is going to start off a bit dry, and that will be good news for all of the drivers here tonight.
Yeah, I've seen there was some drivers practicing in the wet, so we never know. Rain might come. It's been a bit rainy over in the Americas, hasn't it? This past few days, so just have to see if the rain will come around the corner. At the minute, it is not. We can see on our little weather radar. Me and Jesse have this tiny little screen in between us. We like to cuddle around and see if the rain comes, but at the minute there isn't any.
I was really rather hoping you wouldn't tell people we cuddle in the box, but there it is, leaked information here at RCI TV. But it is sort of cooler this evening as well. There is the ever-present threat of weather in the area. We had that for qualifying, of course. That has moved away, but that does not mean we're done with the grooved tires today. We will have to play it by ear just like every other team out there. Of course, we do have our own weather forecast. We'll keep an eye on that in case the weather does move back in. The track will start off in not the most perfect of conditions, but hey, anything sub very wet will be news or good news for the drivers. The 999 Flying Lizard inspired car, still one of my favorite cars on the grid. Not a huge turnout here tonight, 17 or so cars for round number 3. A lot of events going on elsewhere this weekend has limited the participation tonight, but those that are here can gain a lot of ground in championship fights halfway through this season, Ted.
Yeah, there's quite a few fights going on at the minute. If I'm ever look over at the standings a little quickly, a quick sneak peek before you guys do. It's pretty close between some drivers. Some drivers are, in better position than most, but it's looking to be a good one. 3 rounds in, and 3 more to go, but you've still got this race to go, and it's all points to go for.
Really is. Just to flash you back to how this championship started 3 weeks ago, actually 4 weeks ago. In fact, race number 1 was not live broadcasted, but they were at Indianapolis. Vulcan Bakirden did a really good job finishing second place, backed that up with an impressive win 1 weekend ago in Kyalami, South Africa, and he sits on top of the pylon, 63 points to 57. Dario Barzaghi in second place. We expected there to be a change up at the top based on how I hesitate to say Barzaghi's race was poor in South Africa, but it just wasn't up there with what we expect from Barzaghi, if we're completely honest. Had a rough race, lost the championship points lead, and as you so rightly pointed out 1 week ago, Ted, there is no drop round in Night Owl. All races count.
Yeah, all races count in Night Owl. That's the hard bit. Most of the champs have a drop round just to help you out, but Night Owl it's a bit more hardcore. The whole series really. You got no drop rounds. You don't, when pre-queue opens for the start of the season, you don't. All you know is the first race, which normally is the last race from the previous season. So you already know that, but you don't know the other races until the first race happens. So it's you can't choose your car to go with the track, so you just choose a car that you like and off you go. But it's it's a bit more hardcore than the rest, but it is a lot of fun.
Certainly is. The car's out on their pace lap. No rain forecast for the next 30 minutes, but that doesn't mean that we won't have it somewhere near the end of the race. They have to play it by ear, of course. The big wrinkle in Night Owl, as always, Mr. Ted Edwards, is random pit requirements. And you're the man with the plan. Tell us, what are the pit requirements today?
Well, they have a lovely pit stop. Sorry, I'm gonna have to find this myself. I wasn't ready for that question, Jesse. You caught me off
I'll come
guard
back to
tonight.
you. I'm sorry. I'll come back to you.
I got him.
Oh, you got Ted Edwards. What are the random pit requirements tonight? I had to reset you up there.
It is a one mandatory pit stop with a litre of fuel. A tyre change is required, and it's a 45-minute pit window. So 7.5 minutes in, it will open, and 7.5 minutes before the end it will close. So it's a pretty big pit window. I did it because I heard there was rain on the way, but as of right now, don't see my rain. But we'll have to wait and see.
You know, it's interesting. We had a couple of races this week that have went haywire. ACC's weather scheduling is very interesting because it really is like real weather. If it says there's a 25% chance of rain, then there will be a 25% chance of rain. And we had an incredibly low chance of rain sometime this week and somehow got a full wet weather race in. And then, of course, we had a race where it was the ever so slimmest margin for a rain shower. And we got it halfway through. I think that was the Thursday champ race, just about 10 minutes of rain in that race as well. And here we are where rain was very clearly forecast. We had it in qualifying, and now when the races come up, it is dry. That is just a roll of the dice, I'm afraid. And that's what you get. Part of being a racing driver, in my opinion, is not having perfect conditions all of the time. And certainly with the low light level again tonight, they will be lucky that they're not starting off raining a little bit, but probably also based on practicing for a wet weather race, will be thrown off guard. Bekirden on pole position here tonight. Alex Rogers up in P2. He joined us in chat to wish us well and wish him well as well, starting on the front row here in the 119 Ferrari. Ulrich in the second row with John Razor, and behind them Roman Frawler and Marcos. The next row, Fonsa, Pimlott, Phil Malter, and Galinsky, your top 10 as we get ready to go green here in upstate New York. The flagman waving the flag. We're green, and it's a clean getaway for Falken Bekirden.
Yeah, good start from the front two drivers, and everyone really. Turn one was very, very clean, and not many drivers tonight, only 17. But this is what happens in a series. So there's all points to go for, Jesse. There's a few people aren't here. I see Dario isn't here, so Vulcan just can get a really big lead. Now, I didn't think there'll be a move here. There's two side by side going into the bus stop. No, nothing happened. That's very nice and clean, Jesse. But yeah, as I was saying, there's all points to go for everyone, because there's not many people here to really fight with. I see Timothy Flamgo's not here either. He's third in the pro championship so far. Thomas Pierce, he's not here either. So Martin Ulrich, he can get some points. He's in third at the moment, and he missed round one, but he was here for round two. He got second place. He can get some lovely points and climb up there. Same with Rogers, really. Rogers down in 9th. Signed out of race 1, but came for race 2 and is sitting on 15 at the minute. If you look down at the silvers, Pimlott's there. Bilski is, I did see that name, down in 15th. There, that's second in the standings. I don't see the number 6 is there. It's second in silver in a minute. So top 3 are there. And I do see there's a few silvers that are missing, but there's all points to go for.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know where some of those drivers are tonight, busy elsewhere in other series. It's a busy weekend for virtual motorsport. Of course, there's a lot of really big events and a lot of really big teams going on as well. And there have been times that drivers would do the double. George Boothby, again, one driver that does that a lot. I've seen Martin Grady do that in different championships as well, race 2 or 3 races at the same time. Jardier comes to mind as well in all of that. And some drivers do that. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the drivers in tonight's race are still doing that. They just happen to have their break where they can come and run this race. And oh, this is a move right here, trying to go around the outside, and not quite the best place to get that done. Into the bus stop chicane. Thinks better of it. Everybody falls back in line there. Saw in the original lap, Pusina was thinking about going around the inside than the outside. He was living La Vida Loca with Pusina, trying to get that pass done for a top 10 spot, unable to do so. Calmer heads prevailed, and that was one of the cleaner first laps we have seen in quite some time.
Yeah, well, there's not many drivers, Jesse. It's already fanning out. Obviously, we got Glinsky. We just saw fighting with Pimlott, very close. But a lot of people, about half a second more than that. Vulcan's got away from Rogers already. I thought I could already guess that was going to happen. What is that?
Oh, it's going to be a crash!
There's a first crash. You've cursed it, Jesse.
Oh, that was Pusina in the 903. I'm pretty sure, and it is Adam. That was a huge crash. You could see that coming, was blocking the car in front of him.
Yeah.
It just gets turned there.
Yeah, I don't think they needed to block that hard, Jesse, trying to push the Ferrari off the track. Yeah, that's going on to the marbles.
Yeah, just misjudged distances. Yeah. It's easier to do that in the dark, and I know some people are going to say, really, don't you have headlights? It is, because you can't tell, especially dark-colored cars. You can't tell where the fender is, and there's a heads-up display, but that heads-up display is quite often incorrect when you need millimeter precision, and in moves like that, that's what you need. I'm quite convinced that the 903 wasn't trying to put the Ferrari into the fence of Maltini. I think what happened was he thought that he actually was clear, but because of the void of darkness in between him and where he wanted to be, he couldn't see it. The light level changes, it's very low, and little mistakes like that are going to happen, but that was a very aggressive move nonetheless early on in this race, and rather unfortunately has caused the 903 of Pusina to go into the garage. That might be night done already.
Yeah, it's all right saying, they can repair the damage and you're back out again. And keep the same tires they got, because it wasn't, I don't think they locked up too much, not much of a flat spot, but they still got to do a mandatory pit stop. Well, the grid's already coming back around again, or halfway through the track already, so they're gonna do this pit stop, go out, do their mandatory, and then they'll still be behind by almost a whole lap by the looks of it. It was very, very, heavy hit into the barrier there, and looks like they're still in the pit lane, not moved, so that's a lot of damage. But if they carry on now, then I'll take my hat off to them, because it's very hard to get back into the race, get your motivation going after you've had a big hit like that.
Well, Vulcan Bekirden has a 3-second lead. Oh, a car off into the wall there. That was one of the Lamborghinis, and it's Thomas Jelinek in the 32. Now, was that contact or just getting loose onto the curbs? We'll find out. The helicopter cam, keep your eyes on the Lamborghini here, the number 32. What happens here into the penultimate corner? Gets a little bit too much curb and loses it. Very easy to do. You want to carry as much speed through that left-hander as possible, but riding the curb like that can sort of destabilize the car. That's exactly what happened there, and into the what would effectively be the outside retaining wall, the Armco 3-tier, and that has caused damage to that car, but they're able to rejoin, albeit in 16th place. Like I was going to say, Bekirden in the lead of the race. Is Jelinek making a move here? And it looked like Kaneko didn't want anything to do with that. Backs off and lets them go straight through. The car seems to be driving fine, and I thought Fusino was going to retire this 903. That is not on the cards tonight for Adden in the 903. They are back out there after that damage repair. Good call, Ted.
Yeah, I wonder if they came back out to see where they could end up. Anyway, other people can have a crash. Yeah, it's a small grid, but it doesn't matter about a small grid. But you see crashes in motorsport all the time on small grids and stuff. So it's probably biting the bullet and taking the chance. And I believe they can still get points anyway, as long as they finish 85% of the race leader laps, which is not too hard to be honest. They'll still collect the points. So there's no point sacking it in and going, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I've had a crash. But yeah, as I see, the 32's crashed. Thomas has crashed he has pulled that garage door down on that Lamborghini, unfortunately. Not sure what happened,
He
but
definitely was on the recovery drive. We saw him pick up a spot on the racetrack. He was in 15th after the crash, but must have had a subsequent accident that has caused them to be our first casualty of the night. You know, you mentioned Pusina and his pursuit to stay out there, do 80 some percent of the race. He's well within that now. I don't think he's in any danger if he's able to keep it on the racetrack to go so many laps down or any more laps down than he already is. So that's not a big deal. And think about this, several of the cars in front of him, he's sixth in the championship points, and a couple of the cars in front of him are not here tonight. So he could be looking at a day that, or excuse me, a night that isn't the best for him, because obviously he had a very early incident, but it doesn't really matter. If the people that he's racing aren't here, he's going to gain spots, get inside the top 5 of the championship. You never know. And maybe looking at that tonight. And hey, I'm always a big I'm always a big champion of the, I signed up for 60 minutes, I'm going to do 60 minutes.
oh yeah, and if you think about it, we just seen Thomas retire his car. Well, that's another place for Piscina. Like, yeah, they're a lap down, but
Great point.
you know, a lap later well, they are technically they are in 16th now. So they're already gaining places. What, the 8th place in silver, or 9th, whatever it is. But that's still quite a lot of points. So yeah, like, well done for staying in the race, and hopefully they keep staying in the race. That's the main thing. I've done it before where I crashed out and wanted to retire, but you know, carried on and actually got some points which were valuable to my championship in the top 3. And yeah, it's just got to get lucky, but yeah, it's one of those things to try and keep going. As we see Galinsky, the first car into the pit lane.
Now that's interesting. I love a call like that. Ted, I'm quite curious what you think, but in the sort of the middle of your field, and you're kind of got left behind a couple of the cars in front a little bit, and what better way to gain that time back, do that early pit stop, get it out of the way, get in clean air, probably on the opposite side of the racetrack as well, mind you, and see what happens when people try that late pit. Maybe there's some heavy dramas. And a matter of fact, right in front of where Galinsky was is you've got Bilski here fighting Boss in the 31 Audi in front. So you never know. This could go all haywire, and then simply because Galinsky was not in the fray, he could gain some more points as well. Well, this is certainly a night that could make or break. Going around the outside, I don't recommend this, but certainly taking a look to try. Galinsky trying, Bilski thinking about it, that has to pull back into line. It was a very interesting moment coming into the booth there. I can't say I see that working too often, especially at night. I thought he was going to run out of room, but he knew where the edge of the track was that time. By the way, just to confirm, Jelinek, by our lovely stewarding team, who is always with us now on Night Owls, they can confirm that Jelinek had an additional, and I quote Alpha, our steward, bonk, that has taken them out of this race. That's a technical term used by a professional stewarding squad, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why Jelinek's garage door is down in 17th place. Had an issue in turn 9, I'm being told, additionally, for the Jelinek car, and that's why they are out of this one. Well spotted by the stewards. Of course, we do have the live stewards, and they are already busy with a couple of things that have come through. And, well, just the one thing here, no further action for minor contact. Actually, no, it isn't that. It's no further action between the 903 and the 90 for the 903 moving across the 90. Doesn't leave sufficient space, and that leads to him taking himself out. So dubbed that incident dealt with itself, basically.
I don't know if you saw this, Jesse, but there's
not.
a 3-way fight for.
Oh, you don't do this in the S's.
This is top 3 in silver at the minute, not in the standings, but just in this race. And I think Rudy came off worse. I think he caught the grass on this. Yeah, he did. Yeah, way wide. Nearly lost it.
That
No,
was really
stayed in
close
front.
stuff there.
He stayed in front. Yeah.
Rudy Philmalter saves it by going over the grass. You don't want to cut that any deeper than he did. Some of you at home are probably wondering, why didn't Philmalter just straight cut it, and why did he try to get back on the racetrack? You can't straight cut that corner. It is a
No.
huge monster truck style jump in that grass because the track is a cambered carousel turn, and the inside of that where that grassy part is exiting the chicane, that is a huge ramp. If you hit that in one of these cars, you're either going to go around or you're going to come to a dead stop and someone's going to hit you. So Phil Malter knew that and immediately tried to jerk the car back on the racetrack, and it was still violent, admittedly, but it was a lot less bad as opposed to what it could have been. Phil Malter still in the lead of Maltini, and Neil Pimlott now back to third place, stalking the both of them, Phil Malter and Maltini. This is a racetrack where you can get yourself in trouble in a hurry, Ted, isn't it really? You mess up one corner, you can lose seconds, not tenths.
Yeah, you can. It is a very fun track and it flows very nicely. But yeah, if you mess one corner like this, oh, that Ferrari going into the wall and straight on, not braking, and that's a heavy hit. That's a lot of damage on that 90. That's just gone from second place. I think still in third just, but that was like, again, that's what Rudy did in the Porsche in front. Just caught that grass and
Yeah, but see, that's exactly what I was talking about. Michelle Motini, when they hit it, they tried to straight cut over it, and a monster truck jumped over the racetrack. That is exactly what I was talking about. If you go back to Phil Malter doing that, Phil Malter pulled back to the left. And that seems antiquated considering the track's going to the right, but you don't have a choice there. And Maltini's showing you exactly what happens when you don't do that. You effectively jump the racetrack and bottom out and caused even more damage to that car. That has changed that battle. That puts Neil Pimlott up into P2. Something strange going on up the front of this field. Bekirden losing time. It was 3.4 seconds at one point. Ulrich in the 41 has ran him down to the tune of 2 seconds. It's 1.3 seconds to gap for the lead of the race now. Alex Rogers hanging out in P3, sort of in no man's land. The 119 Ferrari, 5 seconds adrift. Michel Molteni bringing the number 90 M&M Racing Ferrari to the attention of their crew. Luckily for them, silver lining, yes, there's a lot of damage, but this will count as their mandatory stop.
I'm just gonna. We missed qualifying due to some technical gremlins, as in my feet when I've tripped over walking into the booth. But I'm just gonna go over the qualifying results for pro, and then I'll go over for silver. So we've obviously got Vulcan, Rogers, Ulrich, Eraser, Fraller, Marcos, and Afonso. And obviously that's changed. Rogers has gone down 1. I was gonna guess that Ulrich is a lot faster. Rogers has been away from racing for a bit due to some life stuff he's been doing, so he's dropped back. Eraser stayed the same. Fraller's gone back. Fons has gone up. Marcus has fallen back to the back of Pro. So they've moved around quite a bit. Eraser and Vulcan's the only ones that haven't. But Rogers being in third is very, very good from him. He just needs to stay in front of Eraser now. He's got, what's that, 2.8, almost 3 second gap. I don't know how much time Rogers had in the Ferrari. I know he's got friends in high places that can help him out. They're all doing a cracking job. No big mistakes in Pro so far. Yeah, before I start cursing people, but just have to wait and see.
Oh, baby! Close here between Kevin Boss and Bilski. I thought that was going to be contact coming back onto the old circuit there for a second there. That got really close. One of our stewards actually gave us a special note that said that these two were racing really hard, Bilski and Boss, and I see what they mean.
Yeah, very, very nice close racing. Hopefully that no one takes another car out. Have to wait and see.
Oh, here we go again.
Line.
They're side by side. At least they were for a moment, trying to go back underneath. That'll become the outside for Kevin Boss. Boss trying to get side by side, can't do it. Falls back in line, trying to get a run now up the backside. Bilski now, who again was passed by Boss there, not happy about it. Bilski wants to get back by, thinking about going down the inside, didn't like his chances there, came out of it, and oh no, missed the turn into the corner, and that has lost him a bunch of major time. Gal behind him in the 812 is all back on him now, and that will release Kevin Boss for the time being. Something he didn't like. He didn't get into that corner right, did Bilski?
Yeah, that looked really odd. Bilski had a good first corner exit. We saw going after Boss and the Audi really got behind them. But I think Audi's better than a Lambo. If that is the Evo 2, the most recent Audi is very, very good, but obviously it depends who's behind the wheel driving it. But yeah, for the Lambo to catch up like that was pretty surprising. But then obviously the Audi still kept its legs going down the straights. But yeah, Bilski just making a little mistake, but see Frallo having a look but not making a move. These four have been like this for a while.
By the way, a couple of things that have happened. Michael Redford threw me a dummy here tonight. I thought he was in the race. He's not in this championship, as it would turn out. He's just here as a spectator. I'm so used to Redford being with us pre-race, joking around with us, and then obviously racing in the thing. I just assumed that was what's going on, but he's not in this particular series. Just watching. Hope that you're enjoying so far in the dark with us. Got some Bilski fans in a chat as well. Love to see that. And Tomas Jelinek joining us to confirm, underestimated the damage, led to another accident. My curse from ZA, that's South Africa for the uninitiated, continues. Hopefully, the next one will be good. I can't say anything other than that. I hope so for you as well. It's been a rough couple of races, but obviously the pace very much there for Tomas Jelinek, and hopefully round 4 they will get to show that. Roman Frawler here finds themselves in a battle for what is effectively not last in the pro class. Marcos trying to hold that inside and might just do it. They're going to go 2 by 2 through this tight right-hander. Somebody's going to have to give, and it will be Roman Frawler for the time being, but very good racing, some respectful stuff there as they come back onto the old circuit. I loved seeing battles like this. You lose a lot of time. Oh, that Lamborghini still it's very snappy. It must be set up for that sort of driving, but it doesn't make it any better to look at.
Right.
It's very scary.
The Mercedes is in front of the two.
Well, yeah, of course.
Behind them, but it just went past. Easy. Go on, Mercedes. Nice to see Mercedes. Normally we see Mercedes in Pro. Oh, I forgot the name of the driver. You know, Jesse. Oh, I forgot the name. How did this happen?
Let's see what happened here. Let's see how Kevin Boss got got behind the Mercedes, and this is exactly right. Additional contact there with the number 7 Lamborghini, and that's how the Mercedes of Gal got by one of them, and then further up the road, you can only imagine they got by Kevin Boss as well. As now the 812, who went from about 5th place in class, is on the podium now. Fonsa, by the way, one of the first pitters in the pro class, the first pitter in the pro class. The 93 Porsche has come down pit lane. And again, I don't mind that. If you're in no man's land in your class, why not try something here? Shake it up early. And let me tell you something about Lucas Bilski. Continuously on the button. That car very loose around this joint, but it has not done anything to hamper the man's confidence behind the wheel.
So Salverlinen we normally see in the Mercedes. Recently switched to the M4.
Dominated last night's race at Friday Champ, by the way.
What was he driving?
What do you think he was driving, Phil?
Mercedes?
Oh, yeah, he was. And for bonus points, what color was it?
Is it red?
Right on all accounts. Ted Edwards, the sharpest tool in the box.
Watching it.
You don't need to. It's Gina Savalainen.
Yeah, he's very good. I think he'd give Vulcan a run for his money.
Had a brilliant race last night. I would love to see Bekirchen and Savalainen race.
Oh, yeah. I want Savalainen to come back, but you know, people got to take a break at some point. He's been back-to-back seasons so far in Night Owl, so you know
it's true.
Got to have a break at some point. But I'll go over the qualifying results for silver now.
Please do.
It was Pimlott, Philmotter, Glinsky, Maltini, Bussini, Bilski, Boss, Gaio, Del, Thomas, can't say the last name, and then it was the 740. How do you say that last name, Jesse? Help me with my pronunciations.
I don't know who you're talking about.
But yeah,
Who are
it's
you talking about? What car?
the 740.
Kaneko?
That one.
Yeah, Kaneko.
Don't need to say it now.
The 740 Lamborghini, the third Lamborghini. We have 3 Lambos in this championship, and I think part of that is because there's 3 American tracks, and the Lamborghini does pretty darn good at the American tracks. Makes sense to me. Get to drive something that you wouldn't normally get to drive for some of these drivers, and it's quite nice to see them. Lovely cars.
Yeah, we've only got one Audi. That's in this race tonight, which is Boston a 31 in silver. But the Audi's pretty good around these tracks as well. I drove it around Watkins, and yeah, it is so smooth. It's just so easy and fun to drive, and I can see why there's Lamborghinis here as well, because it's basically the same car. I would say I think Audi is a bit faster. Obviously, depends who is driving. Yeah, very nice tracks to drive, very nice cars to drive. But yeah, the silver order has mixed up a lot. Obviously, Cusini had that crash earlier on, so they dropped from 5th in class down to the back of silver. And then Galinski's obviously pitted, so he's dropped back from 3rd. And Pimlock's gone from 1st to 3rd, 1st to 2nd he is now. But yeah, so it's all changed a bit, but still got Boss and Belinsky chasing each other. They were back to back in qualifying, so.
That was the rundown of qualifying. You can appreciate now how different the race has gone for a lot of our drivers. Vitor Marcos in the VMR liveried car continuing to pound around and trying to get to a spot here from John Arazer. That's 4th place. That's not small points there they're fighting over here, nearing the midway point in the race. How is it possible? We've already raced for 25 minutes. It's felt like 10 minutes. The action, even with 17 cars, has been pretty incredible, really. They've been sideways, they've been off, left, right, and center, and most of them have been able to keep it going in the right direction as well in very tricky conditions. No weather to this point. You'll see it's still completely cloudy for the foreseeable future, and unless that changes in the next 5 minutes, I think we're going to escape the threat of weather tonight, in the race at least. Again, it was raining in the qualifying session, but as time forwarded to the race time, it dried out. The track completely optimum, 16 degrees. Nothing really to complain about, except that it is just a bit dark here. 10:30 in sim time here in Watkins Glen, New York, and Marco's still all over the back of John Arazer now.
Yeah, some lovely driving by these 3 here. Obviously, I think Fonza was with them earlier on. Obviously, just had their pit stop done. They've dropped back down to the silver group, if you like. But you know, all these guys still got a pit, but they've still got 26 minutes, just under 27 minutes of into the pit window closes. So it's still a lot of time until we see pit stops happen. Now maybe people will pit at halfway, maybe they've only half fueled. But yeah, we just have to wait and see, Jesse. I want to see what strategies come out, because obviously if they've seen there's a tyre change just before the race started, they get to see what the pit requirements are, and if they saw there was a tyre change, I'm pretty sure they'd half fuel, because it doesn't really matter how much fuel you need to put in. It's still going to be a 30-second pit stop because of that tyre change. So just have to see when people pit.
Sorry, I was just reacting. I saw Roman Frawler nearly run to the back of Arazer right there, and I think Frawler was able to roll that corner just a little bit better than a Razor was and nearly ran to the back of him. Luckily didn't. There's not been a major incident between these two, and it's not been for lack of trying, though. It's been very close between them, and this is the tolerances. This is Frawler's front splitter of his BMW looking up the rear tailpipes of the 699 McLaren as they climb the S's up the back straight and down into the bus stop chicane, looking down to the inside, making his intent known. Roman Frawler, are they going to sort it out? No, they're going to go 2x2 through here. It's going to be a yield from John Razor as he's going to have to give up that spot. Roman Frawler up into P5 now. That was a very nice move, and a couple of failures led up to that point. Figured out where he most likely was going to be able to get that move to stick, and did it without contact. Good job.
Yeah, and if you eagle-eyed viewers saw, Razor was a little bit unhappy with that one. So, had a bit of flashing lights coming out of that bus stop there, but
well, you're never happy being the car that got passed, regardless of how clean or good it was.
Well, a move into there is pretty dangerous, I would say, and sketchy, because you've got to make sure the other person's ready for it, because that, you know, Frado was on the inside for the first turn, but the second turn is a Razor, and if Razor messes it up, you can easily get taken out, or take someone out. It's a tricky one to do, but they made it through safely. But I've been looking at Razor's lap times, and his last lap was a 1:48.2, and I was looking at Alex's, and he's 1:45.7 still, 1:44.9 now. His best was a 44.6, and the Razor's was a 45.4. So thinking Rogers wasn't gonna keep a gap to a Razor, that's changed my mind completely. Changed what I was thinking. Razor's just sort of dropping off, and yeah, it's not something you see from a Razor. He's pretty competitive, you know, with his times, but I'm not sure if it's the McLaren. It's the only McLaren on you know, in this race today on the track. So I wonder if it's not a good, you know, strong track for it, or maybe a Razor's not strong with the car here.
Well, certainly a response from the 699 Racing McLaren. A Razor has brought that car into the pit lane after the pass. I think he might agree with you. Something needs working on in the car, and this is the only chance they'll get to do it tonight. Pit stop, scheduled stop for John Razor. Scheduled pit stop for this man, Gal, in the 812. The Mercedes, who had a couple of interesting passes earlier, afforded to them, we would argue, by the fight right in front of them, comes in after gaining those spots. And here is the leader of the race. A little update: Vulcan Bekirden in the 54. This Lamborghini qualified on pole position and has led every lap thus far. It was down around 2 seconds to gap to Ulrich in second place. It's widened just a little bit, 2.4 seconds the gap. It was a little higher than that, actually, the lap prior, but Sector 3 seemed to be pretty kind to Ulrich as he's gained further time in that sector as well. The gap continuing to expand and contract, but again, it was north of 3-4 seconds a little while ago, and it's a little about half of that now. I will tell you this about the stewards real quick. They are absolutely bored. We might be, folks, are you sitting down? We might be setting a record for the fewest incidents in a weekly series race here on RCI TV. We've only had 2 reports come through, and none of them have been actual penalties, as Feature brings his car into the pit lane, the number 71, to the attention of their team, as we typically see this in the middle part of the race, don't we, Ted? A lot of cars coming in exactly halfway.
Yeah, that's what I was predicting. You know, half fuel your car and then pit to get your tyres, and the other half of the fuel you need to get to across the finish line. So yeah, there's a few cars coming in, but not all cars. So let's see if they come in this lap. Obviously, it's just ticked under the halfway mark, but you know, still got 20 more minutes until it closes. So they've got ages before then. But yeah, you saying about only two incidents. The stewards have gave us, and they've been NFAs. Is that going to be a record for Night Owl in its lowest ever? Like, I don't think we've had this low so far. Like, we're halfway in, we've had 2.
I do know the lowest ever for a Night Owl race, and it was 8. It was 8 lines in a 1-hour race. Now, I didn't specifically say Night Owl because it's a bit more it's a bit more serious than that. This might be the race with the lowest amount of penalty or race direction lines of any race in RCI history, and that's going on 3 years now. I've never seen a race with this few actual contact with as many things that have gone on in this race. It is incredible. Some of you may have heard me say that there were 2 lines, and you only heard the first one. The second one is also a no further action between car 31 and car 7. That back on lap 11. I think we're working lap 18 now, or 17, one of the two. So that was a long time ago, and they're not really working anything. I have seen Bart Macchia spinning around on his chair. That's how bored they are over there.
Yeah, they're not normally this bored in a night owl race, because, you know, night owls normally the ones setting records for the most crashes or the heaviest hits, or most people DQ'd from a race, you know, Monza T1, for instance, but...
I had forgotten about that until you just mentioned Rudy Fieldmalter into the pit lane. That's a good point, Ted. I completely forgot. Night Owl does hold the record for most DQs in a race, and it was that one.
But yeah, there's only 16 people. We're 17, obviously. We've had one had a few issues with an incident, but yeah, like I can turn around to Tom Bryant and say, well, Night Owl, you know, holds a record for the lowest, but he'll still turn around and say, you didn't have many cars, but I'll still hold on to
doesn't. That's absolute nonsense to me, and I won't entertain that at all. It all counts. It all goes in the record book, and the only book that really counts is my notepad here, where I write down all the notes. So he can fight me on that one. But we definitely do appear to be racing toward a record tonight. And again, the lower car count, we still had 17 cars. That's, you only need 2 to race after all, and 17 is a healthy mix in my opinion. And considering the nature of the racetrack, the time of day the race is happening, and of course the mix of class and all that as well, that is really incredible to me. Especially, we've had the entire podium in silver switch around at least twice here tonight. So all of that considered, it is impressive. Neil Pimlott brings the ST Racing BMW to the attention of their team. They're all in, by the way. Ulrich, Rogers, Frawler, Pimlott, everybody in. The only car that has not made their pit stop is Bilski and Kaneko.
See, the 90's slow. I just had an update from Alpha. Maltini died in T7. That's that yellow flag you see on the track there, just coming out of the boot. Very slow. I wonder how heavy that hit was. That was the Ferrari, and still very slow.
Well, this is obviously
I think this has been going on for ages.
This is not slowed down footage. This is just what happened. This is interesting. So this has been going on for a long time. And is this going to be a park here? So that's contact into the wall, but something clearly had already happened prior to this. This is up in the carousel, by the way.
Oh, that steering is...
Actually, no, that's not in the carousel. That's at the bottom of the boot.
So got a word from Mawson in the EU that this whole replay is a minute long. So we've completely missed this, and that steering is really broken. As you can see, the full lock left, and it's not working.
Now this is where the rejoins the old circuit, where the boot rejoins the old circuit. So something happened. Turn 7. That's sort of a carousel and entrance to the boot area. Now that's very interesting. That car was going incredibly slowly, and obviously picked up pace there, just a little bit. Something damaged. They had a crash, but they were trying to troubleshoot something driving around that slowly, and will obviously be bringing that car, and has brought that car into the pit lane.
What I think they're doing was just getting they could see those people coming up and getting told in their ear that, you know, got faster cars and whatnot coming up behind them, so they just moved off to the side and let people get through, and then, you know, they booted it down that straight as we saw. They picked up speed because they can go in a straight line fine. Turning is the other thing, you know, they can't do that very well, so they just get to the corner, get out of the way of, you know, because it's quite fast in the last 2 corners, you know, to the start finish. But they did the right thing. They weren't in the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Very well done to get that car right back to the pit lane. I think it was only just after the corner after the bus stop where you see the Vulcan go through now. He's coming down that little straight. I think they crashed there. As I saw a white flag earlier on. So they crashed a long way. Halfway around track, long way from pit lane. So I want to see how long this pit stop's going to be, and I'll update you on that.
Another position for the 903 Pusina, another spot for them in class. And remember, the first car to have an incident tonight, still a lap or two down from the field, probably 2 laps down to the leader, 1 lap down to anybody else in this class, but it just doesn't matter. You're the first one to have an incident. You keep going. You're the one picking up all the pieces. Pusina's going to do that and pick up precious points in the championship. And even with a finish outside the top 5, could and likely is to find himself inside the top 5 in the championship after tonight based on absentees this evening. Roman Frawler finds himself in the same fight that he was in before the pit stop. Was rather hoping he would either gain some ground or Marcos would have made a mistake. None of that has happened. Vitor Marcos in the 71 in the top 5, Roman Frawler 6th, and that's Fonsa in the 93 Porsche all together here, all fighting over that 5th place spot. Of course, that spot will become 4th place when Bilski pits. Martin Ulrich has a interesting proposition on his hands. That is Bilski's number 7 Lamborghini in front of him. Bilski, one of the only 2 cars that have not pitted yet. There will be no waved blue flags or anything here because you are allowed to contest positions outside of your class here. And scary moment, Bilski runs completely wide off the racetrack. They're able to gather it back up. That Lamborghini still looks like a handful to drive. Well, credit to him for hanging on to it, but now will be frustrating Martin Ulrich, who was trying to run down Bekirden earlier, you'll remember.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time between Bekirden and Bilski is 3.7. Add the 0.4 is about 4.1 for Ulrich. So that's quite a big gap. We saw what 2.3 was last time we saw it before they did all the pit stops. So Ulrich was only 4 tenths slower in the pit stop, so I'm not sure, unless it's just sitting behind Bilski, and Bilski not I say let them through, now they're going into the pit lane. But yeah, that would have annoyed Ulrich, because he was really catching. He's only got 20 minutes to chase down Vulcan. It can be done, but just have to wait and see as we see Frawler and Ons behind, racing Marcos? Yeah, so 3 of them racing each other again.
Bilski down the pit lane. That will release Ulrich, but it's 5.3 seconds to gap with 20 minutes to play. This is all going to plan for Vulcan Bekirden, who ran a very nice lap time in the wet conditions here in qualifying, able to take that top spot and has converted that into a carefree sort of drive here. Has been uninhibited thus far by almost anybody. I don't even know if he's had to pass a lap car yet. I'm pretty sure he has not. Let's see the 812, that's Gal in the Mercedes in 14th places up in front of him, but is still several turns in front of him. I was reading chat earlier, as we always are here at RCI, and quite interestingly so. Michael Redford fired some shots at Rudy Philmalter, says, I'm convinced Phil Malter is a professional sandbagger. He's winning everything in the lower classes recently. Smiling, laughing face. Now, that's interesting, but I think that speaks a lot to Phil Malter's sort of drive more than anything else. Does pre-qualifying like everybody else, gets himself in a position to win on most weekends. Even weekends weeks where he doesn't win races, Ted, he's putting himself in a position to have his name in the conversation. He's finishing on the podium. He's doing good work. And Michael Redford, not a fan of it. Absolutely not. And I think I know why he's not a fan of it. Michael Redford has to race against him most of the time.
Yeah, well, I remember like Pimlott, Fillmore, back in early days of Night Owl. They were and then went up to low silver. That's when we had two race servers. When we had all the people's racing, but we're down to the one split as of now. The people got commitments to do this. That was back in the COVID lockdown days, when no one had anything to do, couldn't go out, and what was there to do but sim race? So, but yeah, I remember then back then, I was racing with them down in Am. We went up to low silver, and then we all bumped up to the as we used to call it, high silver. It used to be pro and high silver. That's how we used to split them, didn't we, back in the day? And I remember that if you finished in the top 3 of your class in like a season, you would get bumped up to the next one for the next season. We didn't have the pre-queue, did we, Jesse? It was just you signed up in your race, and if you were too fast, you get bumped up the next season. And yeah, that wasn't your choice. That was the choice of whoever ran that series, and it worked somewhat, and it was pretty fun. I remember being bumped from the split 2 to split 1. And, yeah, a bunch of fun at the back of high silver, but had a bit of fun. But yeah, these guys were back down there, and yeah, they were all OP. So I think pre-queue is working fine. I don't think there's any time back and go on here, Redford. Oh, what are you on about?
I want to point out for the betterment of RCI, that was Ted Edwards who went down memory lane. That wasn't Ryan Moss, and that wasn't Jesse Lee. That was Ted Edwards, which either means one of two things: you're getting old, Ted, or you've been working with Ryan and me too long. It could be a little bit of both.
I think it's a bit of both.
That was Ted Edwards going down memory lane. I completely forgot about that.
The old days of Night Owl.
Categories.
Oh. Yeah. Night Owl back in the day was it was a big one. It's a shame that it's getting a bit quiet, but like you said, there's other things going on this weekend. So there's a few. I think there's 10 people that hadn't come to this race today. So it would have been 27 grid, 26 grid, but I'm happy with the 16 we have. Better than 5.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I don't think it would definitely come to that, but it's still been an incredibly interesting race. We still have a fight on for what is P4. We're gonna try and figure out what happened to the slow car earlier. We saw the aftermath of it. The car was very slow. We couldn't see any real damage to the car. We're quite curious why there's a lull in the action. What happened to them? And we'll try to bring it to you in just a moment's time. I can tell you the stewards have had a third inquiry.
I was about to point that out.
No, go ahead. Take it away, Ted.
Well, you've jinxed it now. I think we've both jinxed it, cursed it, that it's not going to stay as 2, it's 3 now. You got an incident on lap 20 T turn 9 involving the number 7 to 54 racing incident, minor contact. 54 is Vulcan, and the 7 would be Blinsky in silver, so that would be getting past them after the Vulcan's pit stop, I think. A little bit of contact, which is not great. Now, rear end's gone.
This is Maltini. No. This was the accident that we were talking about. We were wondering where it was. I suspected he may have had a crash in the boot. He did not. Ted Edwards was 100% correct. He crashed into the carousel. And what he's trying to do here, you can see the hands going away. The steering tie rods of the car completely bent here. He's trying to turn left. The car's bent that way, so he has to turn even further left. He's got the hazard light indicators on, and he drove back to the pit lane this way at various points, slower than others, trying to get the, I assume at this point, Ted, trying to get the pit stop set up of what he needed done to the car.
Yeah, he's trying to work. I guess he's just trying to work out, like, what do I do? What do I need to do? All right, I need to stay out of these people's way. I'm staying on the grass. I'm way off track. They'll be told there's a slow car up ahead because of the white flag. So he's done everything right, but going into the carousel, he saved it. But I think he overcorrected, hit the curb, and then the front right tire touched the grass, which is very bumpy, that curb to grass. It's not because it's a cambered corner. And yeah, just shot him off into the tire wall. I think it's tire wall barrier, and yeah, just broke his car completely. But he did such a good job to get around basically half the track with a really broken car, get out of everyone's way, and repair, and he's back in the race. Like,
yeah, Absolutely the
Safest driver
case.
award goes to that guy. I really like.
I will say there's a lot of drivers as Roman Frawler nearly hit the tire wall. There is a tire wall there, folks. So a lot of times you don't hit that. You hit the Armco that juts out onto the racetrack, but Roman Frawler very nearly hit the tire wall, and that tells you how far out there he got. Watch this. He's trying to dig off the left-hander as much as he can. There's a little bit of runoff room there. You can just barely see that tire wall. I assume he saw the barrier there. I'm assuming, but it is dark. It's hard to tell, and if he didn't, he got that millimeter perfect to keep it out of the wall. Talk about maximizing your exits. But going back to Molteni for a second, I completely echo your sentiment. A lot of times you'll have a driver like that. There's nothing wrong with driving your car that's damaged like that back to the pit lane, as long as you're not a hazard. Molteni did every single thing he could. He stayed on the grass. He slowed down in sections where he knew he was going to have to because the steering was broke, and he didn't have to end his race there, and he didn't. All credit to him, and I'm inclined to agree. Safe hands of the race award to the number 90 Ferrari.
Yeah, just looking at Fralla, I've been watching him while we were looking at that replay to see what happened to poor Molteni, and I've seen his front end's not got that much grip. It's a little bit loose, and proof is right there, unless he just got on the power a bit too early, which just gives him a bit of that understeer, wrong one, understeer. That's why he almost hit that wall there. Let's have a look at it again. He's the car in front, the BMW in front of this Porsche. Yeah, it seems going a bit more wide on the front than the other two cars. The Aston Martin in front and the Porsche behind are doing a-okay. Now, I wonder if that's just setup based and it's just digging, wearing away the front tires more. Now they've got to remember this is a second set of tires, so they can't be wearing that off that much unless it's the low fuel is and with the ride height or the wing is not going like very well. I know that can be an issue. Less fuel can make the car more understeery out of corners, so it could be any factor to why this BMW isn't getting a good exit out of that corner and some of the other corners, but we just have to keep an eye out and see if Fonza can get past Frola.
7 seconds in hand out front. McKiernan has this race under control against Ulrich right now. Alex Rogers in the 119 Ferrari in virtual no man's land right now in third place, but it's going to get good points for the effort, despite the fact that he hasn't seen a race car since the drop of the green flag, really. He's been sort of by himself in the dark. He will not know that there's other cars out there, I would imagine, where he's running in the 119. And some people actually know he can see a car behind him. It is the 740 of Kaneko, I'm pretty sure, and who is a lap down to him right now. But other than that, just a quiet evening's drive for Mr. Rogers. And Marcos behind him by the tune of some 8.2 seconds. We were watching the battle between Frawler and Fonsa for 5th place. That does continue, and I don't think we're going to get a definitive answer on who's going to win this until the checkered flag comes out in about 9.5 minutes time. Just about to go 11 p.m. Nothing doing with the weather tonight. All the weather played out in the qualifying session. This is flashing back to just moments ago between Frawler and Fonsa.
Oh, that's a bit close.
I was waiting for it with bated breath. I was like, there's something here. Ryan Mawson, our race director, he had something for us there. I was waiting for him. I was like, there's something's going to happen eventually. We are in the correct month for this now, though, Ted Edwards. It is the month of Spookums, as it turns out.
It is the month of Spookums, and yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the pumpkins in the supermarkets around where I live, and They all come out, and I've been seeing some of the sea stuff. You know what I'm on about. I ain't gonna say it, it's too early. I've been seeing some of that stuff being put out and on the TV. Still a bit too early for that sort of thing.
It isn't here. We have the 31 Days of Halloween here, which is an annual event on television here. It's quite interesting. That I will say, I started to see Halloween-related memorabilia come out midway through September here, just like Christmas. They're starting it earlier and earlier every year, it looks like.
Yeah, I've seen advent calendars already out, already advertised on the TV, and yeah, it's too early to get excited for Christmas just yet. But yeah, 7 minutes 35 of this race left, and I was on about Ulrich gonna catch Vulcan, and that's not gonna happen. 6 seconds difference. As the pit lane just closes on us, everyone has done their mandatory pit. No one will get a disqualification. I think that is what it is. But yeah, Ulrich not catching the 54 of Vulcan's Lamborghini.
Oh no, he is though, because it was 7 seconds. It's down to 6.
Was
now.
it 7 seconds? Oh, I did not see
indeed.
that. So well, he is catching. I'm looking at the fastest laps. He did Ulrich did a 44.080. Oh, 0 is it? 80, sorry. And then Vulcan did a 144.675. So that's 6 tenths gained on that lap. But you gotta remember, it's 6.4 now. You gotta remember, what, 20 minutes ago, it was 2.4 seconds. He's lost 4 seconds, and I wonder if it was sitting behind Bilski, wasn't it? Or it was sat behind for a while before they did their pit stop. So I just wonder if that lost them all that time, and that's it's not great for Ulrich. I bet he's a little bit heated in that car right now, thinking I could be fighting for first.
Probably could be, and we'll be probably a bit upset at the 7, but for my money, 7 didn't do anything wrong there. Was interested to see that most recent steward's inquiry that came out that the 54 and the 7 had contact, especially considering I had made a comment a little bit ago saying that the 54 hadn't really passed anybody or had to because they're out in front, and apparently they had done at some point. They had to pass the 7, put them a lap down, and in the process of that there was contact. We didn't pick up on that as far as I'm aware, but even still, that took me by surprise. The minor contact between Ulrich and Bilski, absolutely or excuse me, the blue flag behavior was absolutely tolerable between the two of them, in my opinion.
Oh, what we got here? There's Bilski talking about the 7. Ooh. That's nothing close.
The contact with the leader? No, that surely isn't.
It is, yeah, it's 54. So that's probably what the contact was. Now,
it is.
It wasn't blue flag. Bilski was in the lead. He still had to do.
No, I was talking about Ulrich in the 7. But no, you're absolutely right. It wasn't blue
sorry.
Flag. No, you were still right. I said blue flag. That's not what I meant to say.
Yeah,
Bilski was in second place. But this is the contact between the 54 and the 7.
This is fighting for technically the lead. Bilski's allowed to do this, allowed to sit there, even though he's silver and still got to do his mandatory pit.
Correct.
Not in the wrong. Nothing happened, no crash or anything. So everyone's fine. But Bilski's now sitting in 4th in silver. And to see Glinski burst and got a good lead.
Absolutely. Galinsky, I don't know what happened there. I have not been following that at all. Galinsky in the lead, the number 6, leading the silver field. Rudy Philmalter in P2, Neil Pimlott 3rd, and Bilski, for all the racing that they've done up and down this grid, they're still in P4 at the moment in their class. Boscow have been the bigger losers of the group right now. All of a sudden, they were looking like they were potential podium threats, but have not come to pass. Galinsky looking to get a win here in their class, and we continue to watch this battle for what is now becoming a battle for P4. Marcos has been caught by Frawler. Fonsa, who is waiting in the wings, has fallen off the back just a little bit, 1.5 seconds back. You can see him just there. Look, as Frawler's pace has picked up, and the battle between Marcos and Frawler's back on with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, there's the silvers sort of spread out a bit. towards the back, which is was going to happen at some point. All that fighting was going on. Tyres going to get warm very, very quickly. But yeah, at least there is still at least one fight going on. I see Fonz is only 1.5 seconds behind Frala, so that might be a three-way fight for fourth, which would be nice to see towards the end. 3 minutes left, about a lap or two to go. 2 laps to go for the leader. They just crossed the start finish, going into T1 now, chasing down the 31, which will be a blue flag. That is the boss in 12. Yeah, it's just looking at some of the lap times, and obviously Vulcan has the fastest lap overall and for Pro, which is 144.007, so a very fast lap. Yeah, and the next one would be Ulrich with a 44.3, so a bit of a gap there. And then just looking at Silver, and Glinski has a 44.9, which is about 2-3 tenths faster than anyone else in Silver, so that's why they're powering along and got past the Razor at some point. So, got ahead of a Pro. That's a win in itself, I would say. It's always nice to be in front of a higher class car. But yeah, still got 2 minutes left. About 2 laps remaining.
Couple of laps left in the race, and I've been trying to figure out how Pavel Galinsky fits into all this. And we looked up the championship table right now. Neil Pimlott, of course, came in the championship leader with 55 points over Lucas Bilski, who had 50. Pavel Galinsky was third. He has 39 points. He could very well see himself take the championship points lead over Pimlott and Bilski here tonight. And it would be very close between the top 3 going into round 4. I don't know if Galinsky will take the championship lead tonight, but it's going to be very, very close if he doesn't.
Yeah, well, Pimlott got fastest lap in qualifying, so pole position, obviously. So that's another 3 points. But Glinski will get 2 points for fastest. For fastest lap. So it went Pimlott, Philmott, and Glinski, and then that minute it goes Glinski, Philmott, or Pimlott. So it's literally turned around.
It's very, very close as we are through the halfway point of the season after tonight, and it has basically knotted itself back up in the silver class. Out in front, Vulcan Bekirden has found himself the early driver to beat in the championship. 2 wins in 3 races, 2 on the trot. If he can close this one out, this may be the final lap of the race. Should be the final lap of the race. 30 seconds left to go. It might be a bit close, but he could afford to slow down if he wanted to, but not too much. That gap that was 7 seconds 20 minutes ago, it's 5 seconds now, just a little bit too far for Ulrich. That 41 definitely seemed to come into its own midway through a stint. In rather unfortunate, he was required to change tires. It rather stymied his pursuit of the lead tonight, but Ulrich must feel pretty good about his car tonight and how he performed, knowing that he definitely had something for everybody. The timer strikes 0. The flag stand will have the checkered flag out. The race starter will display that to Vulcan Bekirden for the 2nd week in a row. And what a race win it's going to be for the 54. Vulcan Bekirden wins round number 3 of season 11 of Night Owl here at Watkins Glen. What a race it was for him. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, Ulrich takes 2nd. Got a little wait for Alex, but he's 2nd to last and coming up to the last corner now. And you see here Frala and Marcos fighting. 2nd to last.
Last chance here to make something happen. Oh, I thought there was a car slow there. Realized they were on the cooldown lap. Scared me to death there.
Alex Rogers on the podium. Congratulations to him. Let's see what these two. There they're fine. Marcos and Frala 4th and 5th. Very well done to them two. Very nice racing. And Fonza, unfortunately, a bit further back than we expected. I think lost a bit of time in that last lap, but got 6. Glinski takes pole first in silver. The Razor comes across the line at the back of Pro. Billmore and Pimlott still fighting. These two know each other, so they know their limits.
He's going
around
to
the
try that
corner.
over-under move. I'm not sure if it's going to
It's
work.
not
He's
gonna
going to run out
work.
of time coming to the line. Rudy Philmalter will hang on to second place in the silver class. Pimlott will come home a very solid third place, and that may or may not save him in the championship. It's going to be very close with Galinsky winning the race. Needed a win to get back into this championship, did Pavel Galinsky, and he absolutely was able to do that. A couple of cars coming across the line. Molteni will come across the line in 16th place, but definitely deserves a shout for the finish. Bilski comes across in 11th and will finish out the race today. I think we're giving Spirit of the Race Award to Pusina for crashing first and continuing, gaining a bunch of spots. I think we're giving the what do we say, the respectful race award to the car that drove around halfway around the racetrack with bent up steering while also staying out of the way. I think that was Molteni, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, very well done to keep that out of anyone's way. That steering's really, really broken. Like, there was no way you could drive on the track safely while there was other cars going past you. We could see lock to lock. There was not much movement left to right with the wheels. So really bad damage, but well done to get it to the pit lane fixed and back out again. Only 3 laps down from the leader. So
Yep.
I take that as a little victory.
Well, folks, the Silver Championship is well and truly still in debate here as we have entered the halfway point of the championship. We'll be back with you next weekend for round number 4 here on Night Owl, but that's not all you can look forward to this week. The Monday Championship, the Deutschland Masters Series, ends this week. Ryan Mawson on the call with John Dalton for that one. Thursday Championship as well. GT4s and Porsche Cup mixed class racing. Race number 1 was an absolute riot. I loved watching that race. You're not going to want to miss race number 2. They get after it in that particular series. We'll be back with you again on Friday for continuing coverage of the GT Sprint Challenge series. And of course, Ted Edwards and myself will be with you here next Saturday night as well. Ted Edwards won't be here. I'll be joined by
No, it's not next
Ryan
Saturday.
Mawson,
We've got
maybe?
EWC.
Oh, I see. We will
It's
not be here. It's exactly like I said. We will not be here because of the EWC series on the weekend. So we'll take another week off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, where it will be Ted Edwards. Yeah. Yeah, Ted
Yes.
Edwards and myself for more Night Owl coverage, round number 4. A big thank you to our partners that make this race and every race possible. AK Informatica for providing our server solutions. Driver61 and driver61.com. You can get 25% off your driver coaching by going to driver61.com and using our discount code in the description of the video. Of course, driver coaching can make you a better and quicker sim racing driver. And fanatec.com. Use our affiliate link when making purchases of quality sim racing hardware at fanatec.com. Doesn't cost you a thing. It tells them that we sent you, and it helps us with things like server cost when you use our link. Well, what a race today. A lot of really clean racing. 3 lines in the stewarding department tonight. An all-time RCI record for lowest amount of inputs in a single weekly race round. 3 lines. That is the new record here tonight. Who would have thought Night Owl would set the highest lines for one race and the lowest in just a matter of a couple of seasons? Ted Edwards, final thoughts.
So amazing racing from all drivers. Very well done to Pacino and Martini just to carry on doing their race. Still got points. It's just really good racing from all the drivers. Got some nice, clean, close racing at one point between 4 cars fighting over one position. It's just what I want to see from Watkins Glen.
Couldn't agree more. Full week of racing action coming up the first week of October, this very week here on RCI TV. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're less than 20 subscribers away from 4,200 subs here on YouTube. We'd love to hit that mark sometime in the month of October, of course. We obviously here at Night Owl take a break. As I said the very first time, Ted, we take a break next week, but we'll be back with you in 2 weeks' time from Misano in Italy to continue this championship. Fantastic wins by Bekirden today, and Galinsky absolutely deserved. What does that mean for the championship? We'll see you in 2 weeks to find out. And until next time, I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards with Ryan Mawson behind the cameras. Big thank you to all of our team here, the admins, the stewards, and of course the broadcast team. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.